and running. Niners Steelers tomorrow at Heinz Field, and
Hmm.
why don't we start right there? The Bosa signing gets done. To Austin
Hmm.
Bryant, you just heard, is the guy who gets released to create a roster spot for Bosa.
Right.
Give me your thoughts on the way the Bosa deal came down, and obviously it's a record-setting deal. How do you feel about it?
I feel good. We had to pay him. He had us. I've been saying this the whole time. I would be worried until day one, week one, and he's not on the field. So I'm happy that Nick is here. I'm happy that we got the deal done. And you know what? The season is ready to go. Perfect is not on the menu, Larry. It's just not. Right? We can sit here and go back and forth about all of the things that we wish we would have did and the extra money and should it really have gone all the way to 34 million and did they meet in the middle? But who cares, man? It's time to
Yeah.
play. You got to run with what you brung. So it's right. It's time to go. I'm ready.
How many snaps? What do you feel comfortable with? What would be if you were Shanahan, if you were Kasarik, if you were Steve Wilkes? Those are the guys in charge. Um, how many
Hmm.
snaps you running Nick out there in week one?
Larry, if you buy a brand new supercar, are you going to take it to Walmart? Or are you going to throw that shit on the track? It's time
Well,
to go.
here's the thing. I
No,
mean,
he
only thing I
play
would
him.
say,
Play him.
I saw him working out the other day, and he's
Hmm.
definitely has been in the weight room. I mean, you can see it.
All right.
He's thick. He's heavily muscled. I don't want to say he's too heavily muscled, but he just
Mhm.
looks like a guy. He looks like a lot of guys do who do a lot of lifting in the off season at the beginning of camp. He
Right.
looks very powerful, but he also looks kind of extra yoked up. And what I would do is I would play him on third downs in the first half, and then in the second half I'm playing like just to win. First half I'll play him on obvious passing downs to just try to
Hmm.
make sure he gets his wind. Let's say, be
Right.
going into the locker room. Second half, I'm going to play him as much as I need to play him to win the game. That's kind of how I would do it. I want to ease him in a little bit. I don't know if I want him to
Hmm.
go down after down after down, all these run downs, getting worn down. Third downs in the first half, full go in the second half. What do you think? Do you
Well,
like
I
that
mean, we
plan or?
got two practices out of him. I mean, obviously the first day, you got me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, we got two practices out of him. So we obviously ran him through the first preliminary stuff with all of his strength and conditioning just to see if he's where he needs to be, which is preliminary, honestly, dealing with the guy with Nick's track record, right? And he's gonna have two practices. I mean, what are we waiting for? I understand, soft tissue injuries and, working out in Florida is not football. Camp isn't even football, right? So there's levels to that. I understand that, Larry, but he got paid $34 million a year, man. And this, I mean, we got to be where our feet are. This game matters. All right. This is a game on the road, and we got to fight for that number one seed. The boys know it. They've said it explicitly. They've been really cavalier about it that we need that number one seed. So, I think warming him up will be emblematic of issues or lessons that we need to learn that we didn't learn last year. I mean, what did we do last year? What were we doing? Warming up Brock Purdy, and then the Eagles, they were ready to play week one. They were ready to play snap one. You know what I'm saying? So we can't wait. We don't have any games to give away. We're not sitting on high looking down at the rest of the field. We're in Gen Pop. This is week one. Nobody is better than the process, especially during week one. And on top of it, is the last thing we need to be doing is optics. Let's be real. We're a famous team. People love to see us play. The last thing we want is people tuning in all over the league, hopping from game to game, and when the Niners are playing, we're down or struggling with Nick Bosa on the sideline with a pearly white jersey on. That does not look good. He needs to
Yeah,
play. He's
I hear
been
you.
gone long
I
enough.
hear you.
He needs to get on
I'm
the
just
field, and he's a pro. What are we waiting for? I mean, they
yeah.
already didn't worry about him going to camp. What are we worried about him getting ready for a game for? I think it's time.
Well, only I mean, you know better than anybody as a coach that you can mock up all kinds of D-line drills, you can do all kinds of things, but
Hmm.
there's a reason that the Steelers hit the ground running in week 1, and there's a reason why the 49ers probably don't. And I think it's the main reason is that the Niners come out and they're a little bit more cautious with how they introduce the intensity of football to their roster. Where the Steelers come out and just go, Mike Tomlin's like, hey man, if you want to be a boxer, you got to spar, and they go full bore in the preseason, and then they hit the ground running week 1. I just wonder if since Bosa's been so much, he's basically been at home, hasn't gone at all, if the fastest way to get him hurt seriously is to have him go a million miles an hour in week 1, um, with no limitations. If they feel, I mean, they got to talk it through, but the way it works. It's funny. Chris Forster said this to us. He's like, hey, you know what? No matter what kind of conditioning we do, no matter how hard we run them in camp,
It ain't
when the
enough.
offensive linemen come off the field after that first drive,
They're
he
sucking
said
wind.
they are sucking wind because of the intensity of regular season week 1,
And just the adrenaline.
the
The adrenaline.
adrenaline, and they're just sucking wind. So, maybe if there's a way to ease him in, I'd like to see it. I just don't want to see him suffer a quad, suffer a hammy, miss 5 weeks, and then suddenly it's like, oh, dude, this is like the worst of all worlds. You got him signed, and now he's sitting on the sideline.